Love and light, y'all. We are here on the summer solstice for the self-love summer edition of the Well-Beings podcast. And we can get this thing rocking off right. I want to start with just a definition of self-love. Self-love is a state of deep appreciation for your own worth that grows from actions supporting your physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being, as told by the one and only Google.
Nice.
How y'all feeling today?
Feeling good. Can't complain. Weather's nice. Feeling energetic. Just making good choices today. So I feel good.
Nice.
Agreed. And I love like Adriana, you literally look like the sun. In that yellow tee. You're echoing.
Thank you. I was trying to match today.
It works. Looking at all four of us on screen and the sunshine in the background and sitting here and it's hot in here and there's a little breeze and it feels nice.
Yeah. Good energy going around. You know what? We do things where we normally start with performing, but this time we're going to start with the podcast. And I'm going to lead with the first question. What does self-love summer mean to you? Now, Lex, Tone.
Self-love summer. Well, self-love in itself, I feel like is just having kind of what the definition implied, right? It is action. It's action, definitely, but it's actually finding validation within yourself, not needing outside validation to make you feel like you are important enough, worthy, all those things that people look outside to. Like self-love in itself is just going within and understanding and knowing that you already have that, right? So that's like the first part. But then I feel like in the summer, self-love summer, I just feel like it's a specific time where, you're just supposed to, especially the summertime. The summer is just like a lot of sun. It's a lot of light. You know what I'm saying? It's not the spring, so it's not a beginning, but it's a light time. It's a growth time. It's you know what I'm saying? It's not a winter time. So in the summer, taking self-love summer is just like openly without, not without fear, but without sorrow, without unapologetically just like being like, this is for me. Like, this is for me. I don't need you to say it's okay. This is for me. And that is just a very, very quick synopsis of what it means to me.
Yeah, I get that. Because for me also, it's like a season of putting myself first, thinking of myself before I start to consider all of the factors, what everybody else got going on. It's like, this is my season.
Yep.
Of summer. What about you, Adriana?
I mean, along the same lines as Tone, but I'm gonna go a little bit woo-woo. I mean, for me, it's also a time to really embrace what summer solstice means, and also a time to really embrace all of what summer entails. Like there's no season like winter, there's no season like summer. So there's activities and things you could do in the summertime that you can't do any other season of the year. I would say it in regards to loving yourself in those unique ways that each season provides. Like say in the spring, it's newness, it's beginnings, right? In the summer, it's full bloom. In fall, it's harvest. In winter, it's hibernation. uh, I think taking the time to love yourself, say holistically, the same way you would eat for the seasons, certain people do. I would say love yourself for those seasons. That's how I feel about self-love. Summer is one of the beautiful, nuances that makes us us and can make us better.
I love that. Yeah, that's so on point with the observation of self love summer. I'm thinking that. What about you, Caroline?
Yes, same as everyone. It's I'm a summer baby, so my memories of summer are always birthday parties. I was one of those kids. I think my mum gave us what she didn't always have as a child. So we always had birthday parties in the summer. So I have memories of, my friends coming round and outside and birthday cake and crisps and chocolate and sandwiches. And so the summer has a magical feel for me. And I think because it is my birthday, it does always bring back that focus to self and loving myself. Like it prompts me to think about what I want the next year to be. So I think self-love and summer go hand in hand. I recognised once we'd set this title and we started to move on it, that's when I recognised, oh, you already kind of do this anyway, which I hadn't acknowledged before. So, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I am co-hosting with none other than Adriana T, who's going to be gracing us with the next question.
All right, we painted this very beautiful mosaic of what self-love summer means to us. Now, I want to challenge you guys and ask, does self-love always look pretty? Like, is it always beautiful? Is it always sunshine and rainbows? And I want to throw it to Caroline first.
You want the full-on mess in it? You want it?
Yeah, man. Yes. I love a challenge.
Mess up this thing right now because even I did a performance yesterday and I got some beautiful feedback off you guys, but I had barely slept. I was literally falling asleep before I left the house, lost my voice. So I was absolutely bricking it in terms of losing my voice, not knowing how I'm going to sing. My skin is almost healed, but has been going crazy. So I was supremely uncomfortable. And if it wasn't for the charity that I was performing for with my friends, because they're my friends, the people that run that charity, I wouldn't have gone. And the self-love bit and the self-development and the self-growth was go. And it was a bit similar with the gym instructor course that I've just done, that there were lots of moments in it where I was like, I'd be perfectly justified not to do this because I've got so much going on and I'm in so much distress physically that if I said I'm not doing it, no one's going to go, oh, you dropped out or you're a quitter or, I'm justified. But the guidance was, you've got to do it. That's the test, and in synchronicity with that, I've seen lots of big time performers, veterans at it, American artists, talking about that exact thing over the last week about, going to countries and having back-to-back touring and getting off a plane, performing, getting back on and no rest. And I was just like, if you love yourself and you love this, because every time I get on stage, I just love it. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. I love it. Like, I come alive. It's wonderful. If you want to do this, you got to do it no matter what. Even if you're exhausted, even if you've lost your voice, even if. And it was really telling, actually, that nobody can see. Only I knew and the girls, but no one else even knows. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all energy. So that's where it doesn't look pretty. I definitely did not look pretty before I went. I changed clothes about 3 times because I wasn't comfortable in anything. So that every time I ripped off another item of clothing, I was sweating, my hair was going out of shape. But I'm so proud of myself that I did it. And now I can rest. So, yeah.
Love that. That's the beauty of self-love, right? Getting to the point where, and I'll jump onto your point with my own opinion. Self-love is absolutely not pretty always. Like I've taken you guys through a journey of what, the ugly side of self-love can look like in my own experience. And I'll continue to champion that. It doesn't always look like sunbathing outside. It can sometimes look like pulling yourself out of bed, literally, and knowing that you need to accomplish something during that day and show up, as opposed to, staying in that bed and in your own wallows, like, because that's not going to get anything done. And also it doesn't solve the problem, does it? It means that you're saturated in it. So I would advise anybody, like, if you're going through something, face it head on. Because the sooner you face it, the sooner you can overcome it.
Yeah.
Like it takes years and years and years and years and years for people to say get out of bed, but it takes maybe weeks if you get up out of bed and just start walking. I'll throw the question to Adriana. What you got?
Can I just add to that quickly, Adriana?
Go for it.
That I think that is it's a psychological operation, as they call it, on us to let our ego dominate, because nobody actually cares. 9 times, I actually had the conversation yesterday with some of the families, the refugees, the asylum seekers that were at the event, and I had the conversation with someone about no one cares. We think people care, but if no one knew what was going on with me, and really, no one really cares. People care about themselves and their own survival and their own ability to get out of bed and blah, blah, blah. So you just be an inspiration, but we imagine all this stuff. I'm imagining I'm going to walk in there and they're going to see me looking like they're going to think this and no one cared. Do you know what I mean?
And if they cared, they would have noticed it. If somebody cared, they would have noticed a little something off. But in hindsight, nobody really does care. And it's not like an intentional thing. It's just that nobody does care.
It's not a hate thing. We stifle our own development if we don't push through. Mm-hmm. If I hadn't have gone yesterday, that would have been a weight that I would have had to bear. If you hadn't fought through what you've been fighting through, Adriana, it would have had a consequence on you, not anybody else. So letting go of the ego and going, I'm going to go sweaty, makeup dripping off, hair a bit tousled, you know what I mean? Clothes hitch up. I'm still going to go and I'm going to do it because I reckon they got bigger things to think about than what I'm looking like today. Do you know what I mean? But the gift of music, the gift of performing, spoken word, rap, live instrumentation that Emmanuel does, that gift, every time I do it, that crowd is particularly grateful. But that's why we do it,
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that because we performed with the band on Friday, and to get the feedback from people that are there. People came from other boroughs and they're saying how they want to know the next time we're doing something. It's like you're coming all the way from Brooklyn and you want to come back out here to see us. Okay. Yeah. But in regards to self-love and if it always looks pretty, I don't think so. Because when I think about self-love, there's accountability there, right? But you got to push past the comfortability of it's easy to love myself. Yeah, but then there's also holding yourself accountable, right? Being responsible for your own boundaries, habits, and emotional growth. So no, self-love doesn't always look pretty. There's work there that has to be done.
Tone, you got any more to add to that?
Just that because basically, right, it's only in addition, they said everything. But I just want to say, right, like if you are going to bungee jump, if you're gonna bungee jump, you have that fear right before you jump off the plane, right? If you're going to if you're making any change from an old self to a newer self, you change from one identity to the next. That old identity is we relate it as fear. So it's gonna do things to start making you like revert back, like not to take that step forward, right? So I say that to say it will always, initially, self-love always never really looks pretty until you do that thing and get to the other side. Then it's relaxed. It looks like all the easy stuff that you see or whatever. But before then, the discipline in doing this, the discipline in cutting this out and refrain from doing this, and pushing to do that, what Caroline had to do, like facing your fear, all of those things, that's a natural thing that happens before the break of anything. There's always that fear there. There's always that tension. There's always that thing that you have to do to get to the other side. So does it look pretty to me? Self-love is not supposed to look pretty until you do it, and then once you do it, then it looks pretty.
I love that. I am I. Question number 3.
Yeah, before I go into question number 3, I just want to address something that Tone, the distinction that she made about the old self, right? You got to break up with your old self when you really love your new self. It's like, yo, we had a good time and all, but now I'm on to bigger and better things. So peace.
And that old self will start doing things. It'll make you start seeing things, hearing things, certain putting beliefs in your head like this ain't gonna work out. This ain't anything to get you to stay home, to stay in this body, to stay in this identity. So it's never gonna be. It's not easy. It's not hard. It's not pretty.
Can I say as well? Sorry, go on, Emmanuel.
I was just agreeing. So add to the build.
Yeah, just that. I think the point that you made about when you overcome it, that's when it gets pretty, is really important, because it does get pretty. You know what I mean? It does get to that. And the bit before that you've talked about is tough. Like, if it was easy, everybody would just change. You know what I mean?
We're going to this identity. I want to be rich today. I'm going to this identity. You know, I wish.
And I can absolutely affirm what you're saying in that, my mood, because I've been cutting food out. Sometimes I smoke. I've cut smoking out. I've been cutting back on my coffee. I've been drinking herbal teas, but I've not been happy doing it. I've been vexed doing it, you know what I mean? And I can't pretend that I haven't been. I have been vexed, and I have to. What's kept me going is what you said, is that on the other side, in 3 or 4 days, this hard bit's gonna. Don't go and fumble this hard bit, because you're gonna have to do it again later. Just do it. But you made some excellent points there, Cynthonia, because if you don't know that there's a light at the other side, what's the point?
And I think that leads right into the next question of what's the hardest boundary you'll set for self this summer? Because it won't look pretty. Right? And I want to pose that question right back to Caroline.
Well, I'm just waiting for my certificate, but I am a level 2 qualified gym instructor, which is what is pushing me to really, firm up these changes, because I've got to be who I say I am. So I'm not going into it smoking. I don't drink alcohol, but I do smoke, like I say, sometimes. drinking coffee all day, being loose, eating sugary snacks. That's my little let go today. So the boundary that is going to be a challenge for me, which I'm in the middle of, is tightening it all up. So I've got to train daily. I've got to hydrate. I've got to eat properly. I've got to be the thing that I'm going to be leading people in. So, and it's exciting.
That's right.
It does feel like a good catalyst, to be honest. It's a good motivation. It's going to be tough.
Nice.
Yeah, I could imagine that to be so, because changes are taking place. So you're figuring that part out while maintaining that love for self. And it's not the easiest thing, but like Tone said, on the other side of that, you cut out all of the parts, like you trim the fat, and now you get lean, and it's like, all right, I love this, and that's the pretty part, right?
Absolutely.
Good.
What are your thoughts on the you'll have to set for self this season?
The boundaries. And you can only pick one. All right, the most one, because I have really two, but I will have a few, but this one is the most important for me this summer. And like Caroline said, tightening up. I'm setting stronger boundaries on the energy that I allow to remain or to come into my atmosphere. And I'm so serious about it. I'm talking about platonic, romantic, like family, like relationships, like people in general, because I feel like I'm getting lighter, like my spirit is like illuminating more, and I'm getting more and more downloads. Like something in me is like I could feel like low energy or negative energy. Like I could feel it so much stronger now. And I don't know, something in me is just like, in order for me to go where I'm going and where I'm gonna get to, it's something about this energy. Why I feel it so strong is that like I just got to keep it away from me. So not to be like an a-hole to people or this out there, because I'm not. Even now, like I still have friends that are draining in a way, and I'm trying to figure out ways to set those boundaries like with them. So that this summer that I am really honing in on setting those boundaries, the red tape around my energetic field, so that I can propel like higher. Yeah.
You got to protect your emotional energy. You got to set boundaries around that every season, for sure. For me, as you know, it's like I got to defend my downtime and guard my alone time, because if I'm practicing self-love, I got to take time for self. Like we talked in the promo, what is that act that we're going to do? That's about stuff. And it's like, when I say I'm going to do this by myself, no, you can't come to. It's for me, right?
Yeah. And actually, like you said, self-love, self-worth, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just not to allow certain people, just because like you had a relationship with them, you knew them for a long time, or they did something for you in the past, the second, third, to allow them to use that to keep infiltrating or whatever your space and draining you and doing all of that. So yeah, that's happening.
Adriana, what is it for you? What is it going to be that hardest boundary you'll set for yourself in the summer?
Man, I'm like Tone. I got like 5 or 6 of them things, bro. But I think the one that probably would be most important for the audience to hear is to be less of a critic of myself. If that makes sense. Like I am, like a lot of people who are artsy, I would say. I don't want to put any labels on anybody, but from my experience, they seem to be their own biggest critics as well as their biggest champions. And that goes in all areas of life, not just art. So for me, like I have a tendency to sometimes put more weight on myself than I need to. And with an ADHD brain, that's not very helpful when you're already thinking a mile a minute. So I think for me, that is my biggest boundary to set up this summer, to be less of a critic and give myself more of a break, especially in transition. Um, that's huge in my opinion. Like to give yourself a break, and also obviously what you guys have already spoken on, which is placing boundaries where they need to be set with certain people, whether they're family or friends or whatever the case may be. Like sometimes you just outgrow people. Sometimes they are only supposed to be in your life for a season. That's hard for people to wrap their head around. I'm people. It was hard for me to wrap my head around that in the beginning. But after a certain point, you learn why. It's like the universe will put you in that particular situation. It's tough, but once you get through it, you start to see like, oh, that's why. Oh, yeah, I don't really gel with that. So that's my biggest boundary that I'm setting.
Yeah, I want to add something if that's okay. That I'm really, I'm really pleased that everybody's saying this, because I watched something the other day and it was about spirituality and all this, and they were saying that you need to, when you come across energies that aren't good or whatever, it's good because it gives you the contrast and it shows you what you don't want, but we shouldn't try and evict them out of our lives. What is better is to learn. And I was like, I turned it off. I was like, boo, dude. This is
Wait, what you talking about, Willis?
Honestly, because I know I can only go from my own guidance, and it hasn't been a whisper, it hasn't been a gentle, it's been the Most High, like flipping hammering it into me. Stop having these negative people around you. Stop letting people into your environment that don't care about you. They will leech off your energy. They will make you sick. Stop it. You know what I mean? That's what I've had. So I'm watching this and I'm like, the danger of what you're saying to somebody who is empathic, to somebody like you guys that is going to give. You can't tell people like that what you're saying. Like they'll end up like a raisin on the floor while them leeches are walking around full of vitality. So I'm so pleased that you said that from your own experiences, from everything, your own self-reflection, just like me. That's a conclusion that you've come to personally. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like you have to. And it's not been, like I say, it's not been a gentle guidance that I've had. You have been abused, mate. And if you don't stop this, you're going to spend the rest of your life being abused.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because that's why it's so important to really be able to sit with yourself and be able to like feel, because people will go out and tell you to do what worked for them and tell you that that's the only way, that's the right way. How, you know what I'm saying? That makes no sense to keep, like you said, if you're empathic, why would you keep negative energies in you're absorbing that energy and you're giving them your light.
Yeah.
So then you have to, then after you allow them to do that, they don't care about you, they go away. Now you need to go in isolation for a time, take time away from what you're supposed to be doing so that you can recharge to go and do it again. That means that you're in this cycle. That makes no sense. You're not in elevation. You're in back and forth on the 3D dimension. You're not elevating. That makes no sense. But people will, he's got 110,000 followers and he's got a nice hat on. He looks clean. It's got to work. That's got to be the truth. Sit down and pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to the patterns that's going on in your life. How does it feel? What are you getting? The soft things? Run with that. Who cares what somebody's saying across from you? Because even what I'm saying might not work for the next person. Hence, individual.
Anyone trying to tell you, and again, that's been a big part of my spiritual growth and my awakening, is you don't listen to no one outside of yourself. You can take inspiration, you can get clarity because the Most High will speak through others and you will hear them, and then something will go off inside of you. Mm-hmm. But you don't sit on the back of anybody else's guidance but your own.
Hello.
You know? And if that is the only thing that we preach as a group, is that we all guide ourselves. We're here for each other, But our rising, and I've seen a rising in all of us, is a self journey. We don't consult each other in the middle of the week and say, you know, but we're here for each other should we need it. But it's not an external. It is all internal. It is all internal. It is all internal.
Understand.
First of all, amen. Hallelujah. And just to tack onto the end of that, just to like maybe put a quote on the end of it. This is something that I resonate with personally for the audience. Sometimes your breakthrough is on the opposite side of the door. You haven't walked out yet. I'm legitimately walking out a particular door right now, or soon, actually, in about a week. And once you do that, you have no idea the joys that could be in your wake. You know what I'm saying? Don't stay there. Don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck in a place where you are being sucked dry. Trust me. I don't want to be a raisin. So I'm out in the sun. Period.
Nice.
Y'all like that?
Yeah. You gotta be a spiritual warrior, man.
Yeah.
And the spiritual warrior don't look the way people think, you know. The spiritual warriors are the quietest often. And just to just to reflect quickly, sorry, I'm going on, but it's big for me what you said. When I was doing something the other day, and it was me and my friend, who to me is very zen, and this other individual came into the circumstance, and it was like, it literally looked like me and her like this, and the other person was like, that's what it looked like. You know what I mean?
The contrast is funny.
The contrast was nuts, because we kind of looked at each other like, what the? But they were not self-aware at all that they looked like that to us. And I'm sure there's times where I've looked like that, you know what I mean? Which is why I got pinned down by the Most High. It's like, yo, you're going to change today. But, you know, it's spiritual warriors are not necessarily loud, and they're often the quieter one in the back of the room just listening. They're often the one that's going to just say one little word to you, you know what I mean? Or just gently put you to the side and say. Because they're the ones with the courage to say it, you know?
Can I just add on? Because that's what real power is. Real power is knowing that if you believe in higher power, if you believe that you come from source and source is in you, and if you have that power, what's going on? How you doing? Then you don't have you don't have to be loud. You don't have to scream because with just the word of command, your confidence and your belief and your faith and all of that stuff, you don't have to be loud. When you get the downloads and you get the understanding, you get it. There's no need. You're so sure. You're so, you know what I'm saying, that, you know? So I agree with you. You see a lot of people screaming and yelling, and that's just because they're trying to get attention. They're trying to get attention. Or that's just what they learn, and they'll grow into their more mature selves. So either.
They'll realise. And you gave me gentle words before, which inspired me to last time. But when you told me before, like, you need to really take care of yourself in this regard and stop ignoring it. I had no choice but to listen. And that could have been delivered from lots of different places, and I can easily not listen. I'm very good at it. Yeah.
You sure good, yeah. Me too. I'm really good at that.
Really good at it, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course. I've forgotten it straight away. But yeah, that I will just take this moment to re-acknowledge that this group is very good for me, and I do listen to this group, because actually you've done it really clearly, Cynthonia, but I think in different ways everybody in here has done it, whether it's on the podcast or in a meeting, or, you know, so I'm grateful for that.
Give thanks, same way. And Adriana, go ahead and close us out with that final podcast question.
Okay. Tell us what the world around you looks like when you're practicing self-love, Tone.
You knew to call on me first, because I was ready. because when I'm practicing self-love, like I just love it because like everything just feels in flow. Like, dare I say that everything seems easy around me? Dare I say it? Like you know, like I'm attracting beautiful things, people, conversations, even the help that people ask me for, like out walking up, leaving work, coming home one day, and I'm at the like the Long Island Railroad station, and there's these stairs, this escalator going up. Let me speed up the story. There's somebody in a wheelchair, and they can't get up. The elevator's broken, and this person is sitting at the bottom of the escalator, and everybody is just going, and this person didn't, I don't know, didn't have the voice chakra was blocked, didn't ask, you know, for this was something. I just like intuitively I just knew what was happening, and I'm just like, you know, my train was coming, but I don't know, I was just like, you need help, like, and he was just like, yes, thank you so much, da, 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 boom, helped them up the escalator. And I'm telling you, I think the way this guy just blessed me so much, I think I'm getting a blessing just because he, like, it was so genuine. He was just like, thank you so much. You are so blessed. You're so light, your spirit. So I enjoy things like that. Like, I enjoy those things, like those moments that happen in my life, because it lets me feel, lets me know, like, I'm moving right. I'm on the right track. It just feels good to my spirit. So things like that happen, like, oh, I get called for like mad overtime to get extra money, like, or just things just line up and add up. Like, my body doesn't feel tight, it doesn't feel tense in the morning when I wake up. Like, it's just flow state. It's flow state. It's when I'm practicing self-love. But I'm gonna tell you very, very seriously. It takes us, like, I have to be consistent in my self-love for a period of time to get to that state. But let me tell you something. if I like put down the self-love, or if I put it on the back burner for like say a week, all of that beautiful everything, I'm telling you, that stuff will just start like dwindling so fast. Like, you just it's just like, yeah. So I notice it very, very vividly, because I know when I'm doing it, how it is, and when I stop doing it, I see how fast like things start acting crazy around me. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks good. It looks good. It feels light. It feels like joy. It just feels like gratitude to the universe. It just feels like I just smile and just be like, thank you so much, universe. That's what it feels like when I'm in self-love.
So when you lean into a challenge and you meet that challenge and you're met with ease, that's what it looks like to you. I love that. Caroline, what you got?
Very similar. I saw a video on Instagram years ago with this young black woman, and she was walking down the street, but she was dancing, and that kind of summarizes, like, I'm skanking down the road, like I'm bubbling everywhere I'm going. It's like, you know, it feels like that, and it feels like empowerment, because it is messy, as we said. But what I've learned about myself is there's a lot that I tolerate that I don't agree with. So when I'm in full self-love mode, I'm just licking off shot, you know what I mean? Everywhere I go, it's bang, 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 bang. Shut him up, do this, do that, you know? And it feels so good, because the amount of anxiety that I create in myself, sitting around thinking, am I going to upset them? What's the consequence of this going to be? Does that make me a bad person? Am I horrible now because I said this? But because I've got literally no tolerance right now, hormonal and everything else, and the self-love mode, I just say it, and it's wonderful, and nothing happens, nothing bad happens, and like you said, Cynthonia, flow state. And I just want to say that I love the fact that what I heard in what you said was that the self-love allowed you to slow down, because it's not like all those people that walked past that man in the wheelchair were evil. They hadn't slowed down enough to consider, does he need help? You had slowed down enough to look outside of yourself. And that really, for me, is what self-love is. What self-love looks like is really loving on yourself gives you the capacity. It's that put your gas mask on first thing, isn't it?
That's a good point. That was beautiful, right? True.
Am I?
Yeah. It looks like this backdrop. Now, clarity, I get a sense of clarity. You do take that time to acknowledge what's going on around you when you're loving on yourself. Like, you know what? You made time for yourself. Now you can take that time to hear the birds chirping, see the greens of the season, and really be in tune, tapped in, turned on to what's really happening out here.
Mm-hmm. That's
Well,
a good point.
you know, practicing that for sure.
Dig that. I will jump on that point and say that for me, it looks like I'm gonna get woo again, but when you are in a balanced state, and you'll notice when it dims. Like it seems like Tone, for example, has a specific type of glow on her. She may not even see it, but it's a glow that comes up off you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you are oozing happy right now, which I love to see. That's dope. You know, and that sort of happy is a type of organic that you can't fake. There are a lot of people that try, but honestly, it comes from doing the work. It comes from the consistency of the work. And I would say, like, I've had plenty of times where it's been more glowy and been more dim, but every time that I get to a point where it's dim because life happens, what it looks like for me is always finding that glow and trying my best to soak it up and trying to keep it as glowy as possible, as long as possible. And also like to tag on to what I said, like truthfully, when you go outside and just sit down and really take in what the world has to offer you, it kind of puts things in perspective for you. And that is a awesome feeling. I think a lot of people don't slow down enough to notice those simple things. Like, how does that work? How does this grow? Why is why are the trees blowing this way and not this way? All of those little things are important and can bring you peace if you're able to slow down enough to love yourself enough to actually see that. And it takes a specific type of focus to do that. So that is what it looks like for me. It looks like that glowy state and doing the best I can do to maintain it.
I like that. Especially, it's hard to stay in it for a period of time. But I guess once you step into that identity and you're making those decisions constantly, consistently, like if you know what I'm saying, you probably stay in that state for longer periods of time. But I'm like you too. I be trying to like stay into that state as long as possible. You know, stay in that state as long. Like self-love, like it's just so easy to fall out of it. It's just so.
That's when it gets ugly, right?
Let me use my words properly. In the past, the old me loved being who I was. So the challenges of consistently making those decisions was not favorable. But it's gonna I'm gonna be in that state for longer periods of time too, because I feel that too. I feel like every time I get to that state, I feel like another chunk of that old identity is okay with it, is letting go. So yeah. But I like what you said too.
That'll work, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead.
I had a conversation with
that'll work. Go ahead.
She said, "Go ahead."
Someone yesterday at the event, we were talking about manifestation. I was talking to some of the team that were working on the event, and somebody said to me, she said, when I was a child, I would sit out in the garden and I would watch how the blades of grass blow in the wind, and I would ask a question and I would know that God was speaking to me through that. And we get older and we forget those things. And for me, that reinforces what you guys are saying, and what I know I've had to do for myself. You know, I've been on a journey of just going back to that place within me as a child where you wake up every day and it's an adventure and it's a new day, and you don't question the trees, like you said, Adriana, the wind blowing that way as God giving you affirmation. You know it's God. You just don't question it, and we get that taught out of us in this society, not through our family necessarily, but through the programming tools. So I think it's beautiful that you said that, Cynthonia, as well. And always having the responsibility to do it, and knowing that in doing it, there's going to be a challenge. That, I think, that is fundamentally essential to understand, because I think there's a misconception that spirituality and rising up and, you know, is this put a flower in your hair and go skipping through the forest. Right. It's messy, it's dirty, it's crying, but there is the other, you come out the other side. And the more you can do that, I'm not as in nature as you guys, but I'm going to be, because I am taking the constant message from Adriana, like Adriana and Emmanuel particularly. I'm like, okay, I heard you. I'm going to go and hug my tree, okay? You know, but it is a very quick way of bringing you back, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
It makes you look at fear a little bit differently too. It has to be in the passenger seat because it's fear, right? It's one of the emotions, but let it ride with you as opposed to letting it overcome you. Like, don't let it consume you. I would say that too, because that is one of my crutches that I'm learning to overcome, is letting fear propel you as opposed to consume you into like all of those what ifs that don't really matter, because you won't find out until you take the step.
I think people should look at fear more as curiosity. Like, whenever you just feel like really, really fearful of something, just like try to make your mind like think like if you feel that fear, like just like what's gonna happen from this? Because that's really what fear is. I believe, like, just not knowing what's gonna happen at the other end of that like decision or that situation or whatever. So I don't know. I try to do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on how.
Right.
It depends on the magnitude of the fear. If it's a little, I could trick my mind into making it a curious thing. I'm still working on it though, but I think it's a cool thing for people to try.
But it never, just to bring it back, it never happens. The thing that you're afraid of doesn't happen unless you work really hard to manifest it. You know? But it doesn't happen. And this was a conversation that we had as well about pushing and pulling the universe. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at everything you've ever succeeded in, you had no doubt and you had no fear. You just went for it. You just knew. You know what I'm saying? The things that we grapple with, it's not being present, and it's creating a false reality. But that false reality does not manifest unless you make it. That's, again, the power of the mind, is knowing that if I sit and I ruminate on this, and I know you've spoke a lot about it, Cynthonia, and you, Adriana. If I sit and ruminate on this, I know it's bad. So I have to take myself out of that rumination. However I can do it, you know what I mean? But that's what creates it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Emma, you got any final thoughts?
I think one thing that the audience should take from this portion of the pod is that self-love requires work. Like Caroline said, getting to that level of spirituality is not running bare feet and putting flowers in your hair, singing and chanting, but that we take that time for ourselves to get to the space where we can shine bright, like this backdrop once again that Caroline been the podcast section, discussion, conversation part of Self Love Summer, and we'll be right back with the performances.
Nice.